scrimmages now for your guys, I guess, one, how much of the separation you seen that you wanted, and two, maybe who are the guys that you look at and say, this guy is going to block for me every snap?
No. From a separation standpoint, right now, I mean, everybody's working hard, man. I feel really comfortable with about 6 or 7 guys in our room right now. I'm not at liberty to name who's going to be our starters, who's going to be that third guy. But guys have been competing, and it's been fun to watch the competition, and just their overall approach. The room, I got a great room, just from a personality standpoint. They all really care about each other, care about their teammates, and it's been a joy to coach them. Let's see. So I have a sign in our receiver room that says "No block, no rock." So I got 15 dudes in there, and if you want to stay in there, you're gonna block all 15 of them. So that's the attitude that we all have. We take blocking personally. It's a big part of our offense. In order for us to have the big runs that we're going to have this year, we got to get it done downfield. So it's just part of our DNA, and if you're not doing it in practice, then, you'll be standing by me most of the time.
Coach, to piggyback up what Chris said, I know you probably look at these kind of like your children, but is there one receiver that you're kind of saying, wait until the Big Ten gets a load of this guy?
Man.
Well, it's going to be an easy question.
No, I mean, I feel like we have a really good room. I want these guys to introduce themselves to the world on the field. I'm not going to kind of let the cat out the bag, but from a wideout standpoint, from a receiver coach standpoint, I think we have one of the most dynamic rooms we've had in a lot of years.
The best you've had?
I can't say that. I mean, I had a room with 3 pros in there at one point, and so I can't say that. I can't disrespect those guys, but we have a really, really good room, filled with guys that can, we got speed, we got guys that are not afraid to go and do the dirty work. We got bigger guys, we got smaller guys, we got guys with really good suddenness. So I'm excited, I'm excited to move the chess pieces around on Saturday and get the right guys on the field at the right time.
When did that excitement sort of set in? When did you realize, like, all right, we have guys, we have a room here that could do something?
I'd say in spring ball, you've seen flashes in spring ball from guys, and you're like, okay, we can do this consistently, and guys have just gotten better and better as they've been able to absorb the offense and kind of slow the game down and start to understand the details of each play better. You've seen guys just, like, wait till they get a load of, wait till they see this guy, So it's been fun to watch their development.
You've got a little bit of juggling with some guys in and out throughout camp too. How has that allowed maybe some of those younger guys, guys like Colliers and Taplins, those are 2 guys that I think that we've heard a little bit about. How has it allowed them to maybe step forward, and what do they need to do to get past some of those veterans you brought in?
I'd say for the young guys that have just gotten here or young guys that came in January, just to continue to, absorb the playbook, continue to play fast, continue to play physical, trust the process of learning how to run routes, understanding the details of the playbook. Those are all things that some of the younger guys struggle with. But once they figure it out and the game slows down for them, then they can rely on their God-given ability. Those guys you mentioned, they've had really good fall. They're competing their tails off. How much they'll play, is yet to be determined. But I mean, they're going to be some really good players for us, like really good.
Courtney, when you played in the first game was within 2 weeks, did your energy ramp up, and do you expect the receiver depth chart to change much between now and the 12 days before the opener?
I mean, nothing's solidified yet. So these guys are going to compete pretty much all the way up until game day. We still have a couple question marks on, how we're going to put this group of guys or that group of guys on the field together. you know, so we're still trying to figure that out, and they're competing every day. So there may be some changes, but, you know, we have an ideal of who we think may be our starters, at least the two outside guys, you know, and then inside it's, you know, we'll play the best man. You know, you may see that by committee, you know, just don't know just yet.
How does Omari complement Nick and vice versa?
One thing about Omari, man, he's played a lot of ball. He is a savvy wideout. He brings that veteran presence. He brings the experience of a guy that's been in some battles. He can get deep. You know, he's a really good route runner. He takes a lot of pride in wanting to be a pure route runner, which, you know, I love as a receiver coach. But he's also, you know, he's got a chip on his shoulder. So he'll go in there and dig the safety out. You know, he'll talk a little trash, which, you know, I'm cool with just a little bit. You know, so he's been really good for our room and good for our team.
And how does Nick complement him, like with Nick's growth in 1 year, 1, 2?
Well, really just his, you know, Nick has a, you know, really good approach to football. He approaches like a professional. I think they've learned from each other from that standpoint of you know, how to study. You know, I think Nick, you know, right now, Nick's still to take the next step is to play more consistent. You know, he'll get opportunities. You know, we need him to make, you know, play after play after play. You know, he's really been working hard at his craft, man. You know, just being better at the top of routes, being more physical. You know, he's already really good with contested catches, so we've just been working on fine-tuning him as a route runner. And I think they'll be a good duo. They'll complement each other real well.
Is there a trait that you think you were missing from the group overall last year that you think has been filled in with this group? Whether it's speed, explosiveness, blah, blah, blah.
I just think overall, just speaking on this group, I think I've said it before, I feel like I got a nice starting 5 hoop squad. I think that we've filled in, you know, a point guard, a 2 guard that can shoot threes, you know, power forward. I really feel like we got that in this room now. Maybe in the past, I felt like we had it. Maybe it just didn't materialize like I would have hoped and thought it would have. But, you know, I've been really happy about where we're at, you know, right now, just from a development standpoint.
How much one-on-one dialogue do you have with Nick about that kind of professional approach to this game?
Well, I mean, I talked to the entire room about it, you know, and that's part of the experience, you know, that's the road I went down, and just understanding the importance of being a professional and studying and being prepared. You know, those are all things that, you know, you kind of get from me as a receiver coach. And whether it's weekly, a couple times a week, you know, really a lot depends on what's going on the field. You know, I got a good gauge on my room of, oh, I can tell you didn't study last night, you know. So I you know, or you didn't get any rest last night and you look like you don't look that good today. So, so I got a good gauge on him, man.
How do you think Nick learned to maybe handle some of the pressure thrown his way last season when he comes from, you know, true freshman, is playing a ton, getting a lot of attention from other teams? Like, how do you think he learned to handle all that?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is just Nick's makeup. I mean, he's always, I think since the 9th grade that I think he had a heck of a game in the state championship deal. And so he's always kind of been under a microscope, so to speak. And just here, just the microscope just got a little bigger. But he's really, really grounded, really down to earth, really cares about other people, you know, is really unselfish. So I think that, you know, and he's a kid that doesn't get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. And you know, he and I have great conversations. You know, we talk about this journey that we're on right now and doing it the right way and, you know, being humble through it. And, you know, I think he listens. And that's kind of, you know, the product that you see.
Of course, Marsh was special last year for a 17-year-old, but we've heard Collier's name a lot. Yeah. What is it about Braylon that makes you think that, you know, he's advanced?
You know, I mean, he's a really good route runner to be as young as he is, you know, and, you know, he's got a good approach to the game. He's got really good quickness, can take the top off. And the deal is, you know, his name is floated around some. He's made some plays, you know, during the spring and in this fall. You know, he's made some really tough contested catches, and you know, he's going to be a good player, man.
Your guy's gonna be the kick returners? Somebody out of your room?
That's still up for debate. Right now, we haven't named that. You know, we got a couple defensive guys, we got a couple offensive guys. Right now, we're still kind of fine tuning that. We're still almost 2 weeks out, so. You know.
What about Nick reminds you of you?
Oh boy,
Height.
yeah, the height. I'd say the humble side. I think that's where we're very similar. You know, that's you know, and I've told him that. I think the approach to the game. You know, my freshman year, and we talked about it. My freshman year, I didn't catch a ball here, and then you know, broke all the records my second year, and just you know, being kind of going down the same path, very similar path, but I mean, he's a humble dude with you know, family kid, loves his family. Those are all the same traits that I have.
As a receivers coach, how much work do you do with Aiden, and what kind of how much growth and development have you seen in him in working with your guys and communicating with your guys over the course of the last few months?
Well, I just think for him, man, he's another year being in the offense. You can tell that the game's slowing down for him, that he understands the details of our offense a lot better than he did last year. You know, last year was his first year being the guy. You know, it's different coming into games, and you just got spot duty, and defense prepare for you, but they don't really prepare for you. They prepare for the starter. I think he figured out, you know, what it takes, the more studying he needs to do. I think, you know, he's taking more of a leadership role of actually grabbing the wideouts and saying, okay, look, let's watch a little film. Let's get some extra throws in. You know, you're seeing more of that than you've seen last year, and it's actually really good to see.
You've seen a lot of the quarterbacks that have come through this program in your time as a player and coach, but does he have a chance to be maybe the most dynamic to ever do it here?
I mean, he's got a skill set unlike a lot of people that have come through here, man. He's a big kid, big, strong kid that can run with the wideouts. He's quick to tell me that I can put him out there and he can run routes. You know, and he's got a big arm. I think he does have an opportunity to be, you know, as dynamic as some of the guys that have come through here. But we've had some great ones come through now. So he's got a lot of work to do to be number one. But I think he's up for the challenge, and it's really good to see his growth and you know, just his approach this year versus last year.
Most recently at Scrimmage on Saturday, what stood out, who made some progress in your group?
I just think the offense overall, the energy. You know, my group, you know, we made some plays downfield. There were some opportunities to make some plays. Felt like we played faster in this scrimmage. We had less MAs also. You know, it was good. It was good. We left the field Saturday. You know, guys had a smile on their face and with some positive energy. I'd say the first scrimmage, we left off the field and there was, you know, some guys had their head down. Guys were pissed, you know, about performance overall as an offense. But we made some strides this past weekend.
Kelly and McCray came from spots where they were kind of the focal point of their passing game last year. I'm wondering for you as their coach, do you notice any benefit of that, of guys who kind of been the guy and now they're kind of trying to fit into a different situation, or maybe they're more part of a team, I guess. But you get what I'm saying, where they sort of have been the heavy lifters of the passing game at their last spot. Is there benefit of that as you see it as you're coaching them?
Well, I just think the benefit is that they actually had some real field time, you know, and they've you know, they've been in front of the big crowd. They've made some plays. You know, we can actually see that they've shown us that they can be productive receivers. versus, you know, dealing on a gang of potential. I mean, these guys have come in and blended in and fit in, and everybody's trying to carve out their role in the offense. And I think that they are doing a great job of kind of figuring it out, competing their tails off, and you know, pushing the ceiling of the room. And this, like I said, this is right now, you know, this would be one of the better rooms that I've had in a few years.
It sounds like the individual talent is all good, but like what you're really saying is that like they could be, if that individual talent comes together, the sum of the parts would be even greater than just like they're really good individual talents. Like this could be a very special room if it all coalesces.
Yeah, I mean, you said it in a nutshell. I mean, you know, it's a lot of times we'll be in 11 personnel. That's, you know, 3 receivers. You know, they've got to be able to work off of each other. And part of the deal is we got to make sure we got the right group of guys on the field to execute. But like I said, just overall, just the brotherhood in the room has been tremendous. You know, it's I need to put a microphone in there sometime and let you get a whiff of these dudes in there, you know.
I might object to that, though. No.
Go ahead.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.